Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're the hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every day, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can view all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues that affect you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
We're going to start our Parks Commission meeting for Thursday, September 5th, 2024 at 6 p.m. And with a motion to approve the minutes, I move to approve them. Do we have a second?
Second.
That's Christopher P. Are there any comments, corrections to note? There's none. So those in favor of approving the minutes as written, say aye.
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 Aye. All right, any opposed? Our minutes are approved. Public appearances, non-agenda items. No persons appearing on non-agenda items. We will review and approve the agenda. I move to approve the agenda as written. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any comments on the agenda? All right, those in favor of the agenda as written, say aye.
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 Aye. Yeah. Any opposed? Agenda's approved. So item 5A is the resolution R14724 approving Emerald Ash Borer Management Plan update of 2024. I'll move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Sarah Schroeder. And we'll go to Scott with any updates and then to Anna.
Yep, I think we just go
Directly to Anna
Anna's kind
Healy,
enough, yep,
our
to be
forester
here, so
naturalist.
we'll let her report on that. Thank you, Anna.
Yes. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me, and thank you for reviewing our Emerald Ash Borer update. It's more of an update in numbers than in strategy. We're maintaining our strategy that we've had for the last 6 or 7 years at least, where we're inspecting all of our ash trees and we're treating all of the trees that we deem can take the treatment, and we're removing everything else. Last year, unfortunately, it didn't rain. We had a pretty severe drought, so we did lose more trees last year than I would have liked, but we've been able to maintain about 110 trees a year that we treat. And so that means we've got about 200 and change trees that we're treating, and we treat them every other year. I'd like to be able to move them back to a 3-year treatment cycle at some point, but right now beetle pressure is just too high. There's too many infested trees out there, pumping out too many beetles for our trees really to withstand, that second year without treatment. So basically what we're doing is we're, inspecting our trees, treating what we can, removing everything else. And unfortunately, we only have 15 ash trees left in parks. But we do have about 200 and change on the terraces that we are treating. And the cost is pretty nominal, including staff time, depends a little bit. When it didn't rain last year, it did take longer for those trees to uptake. And we did have to water some trees to get them to transpire so we could inject them. But our cost it's right around, it's a little less than $12,000 a year, including staff time. So I think it's definitely worth it to maintain those trees on the landscape. And also just to avoid that budget spike of having to take a lot of trees down in 1 year. Because if we stopped treatment, we'd have 100 trees to take down all at once, which would not be the optimal situation. So I guess I was just kind of rambling there for a minute, but if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Any questions? We went over it with you last month as well, so I think there were questions answered then, but if there's any additional questions, go right ahead. Nothing? Okay. So those in favor of approving the EAB, Emerald Ash Borer Management Plan, R14724, say aye.
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 Okay, the motion carries. 5B is R135-24, approving the grant application requirements for 2024 Urban Forestry Grant, and we have a citizen who wishes to comment. Patrick Cheney, 5211 Kitty Crest in Fitchburg.
Could you go to the page that has the actual grant application? I think it's page 27. That's the one. Okay. My question or comment on this right here, if you see this is filled out City of Fitchburg, Lacey Road address right here for City Hall. The mayor has her name on here as the applicant and listed as the mayor. It also has that telephone number, which is the mayor's personal home phone or private cell phone number. I'm questioning, is that the number you want on here rather than a City Hall office number?
Okay, thanks, Patrick.
Good question.
Noted, thank you. Okay, so back to our process. I will move to approve the grant application, R135-24. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. And Scott, are there any comments that you have before we have Anna?
I think
go
we
right ahead.
can roll right to Anna. She's done the work on it.
Go ahead, Anna.
Hi there. Well, thanks again for listening to me talk again. So basically, this is a grant from the Wisconsin DNR to pay a consultant to help us write a strategic management plan for our forestry division or our forestry program. And basically, the grant is up to $50,000 with a 50% match. The match in this grant is staff time, so we would get $25,000 in cash from the DNR, and we'd match that with $25,000 in staff time. And the idea is that they would help us with basically, organizing public meetings, organizing input from stakeholders and all of that, those sorts of things, and actually doing the meat and potatoes of writing the actual management plan for us. We do have an updated inventory, and we do have, chunks such as the Emerald Ash Borer Management Plan that are updated that could feed right into it. So I think we're really ready to go. It's just that we get so busy with the day-to-day operations that's really hard for us to constantly take time out to actually write the management plan, and that would be the function of the consultant, and that's what the grant is for. So it wouldn't really cost the city any cash outlay other than just staff time, and we really should be working on this anyway. And the grant cycle is a year, so we could start, if we did get the grant, it would start this January. We'd have to have everything wrapped up within a year, which actually is good because that really puts the pressure on to get the plan done in a timely fashion. The grant application, I might polish it up a little bit before I submit it, but it's basically just to have a consultant help us really get our arms around, writing a strategic plan for our forestry program, which we've never really had. And in order to do that, for the grant application, I do need a resolution. And I'd also be interested in any comments you would have on the actual application.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from anyone?
Anna, is this going to be something that you've already started that this consultant's going to pick up, or is this starting right from scratch?
That's a good question, Sam. So we've got chunks of it. Like I said, the inventory is up to date. So we've got the information to feed into the plan. We have our list of stakeholders. Not that that's set, but we have a starting list of stakeholders to start with. We do have our Emerald Ash Borer plan, which, we just approved. So that's updated. So we do have some of the big building blocks done, but we don't have, really what we don't do is we don't really think about, next year or 3 years from now or 5 years from now, we should really be working towards specific things. We're just so busy with the day-to-day, we don't really get to that. So I don't really have I haven't done any visioning or anything of that nature, which would be part of this process. So I guess in terms of what's been worked on, it's mostly just the building blocks and not really the actual planning piece.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just muted myself.
Oh, go ahead.
So my question, I guess, is twofold, and pardon my ignorance in asking this, but the $25,000 that we would pay to the consultant would be for designing the plan and filling out the grant, or just filling out the grant?
No, so I've already written the grant. So this is to submit the grant to get $25,000 to pay a consultant to actually write the plan. So the deliverable from the consultant would be the actual plan.
Okay, thank you. That's all I needed to know. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, there are none. So those in favor of approving R13524, the grant application and requirements for the 2024 Urban Forestry Grant, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Anna.
Thanks, Anna.
Thank you very much. And if anyone has any questions that come up, after the meeting and they want to chat, please feel free to reach out. I'm always available.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Yeah. Okay, for 6A, there is a citizen who wishes to speak, Patrick Cheney, 5211 Kitty Crest.
Since I'm going before Scott's explanation, I'm hoping that he would cover a lot of this, but I have to just throw all my comments in right now, so here goes. I am hoping overall that there's a good explanation of this when we get to that. Looks like there are two different rounds of bidding. One was earlier, whatever that date is, June or something. And then the later one, yeah, that one. For one thing, I mean, in the packet, this was kind of hard to read. It looked like the printer needed a new toner cartridge. I'm wondering, for example, the engineer's estimate is blank on both of these. That's usually filled in, so there's some idea from staff or so about what this is expected to cost, and it's just blank on here. So, I mean, why wasn't it filled in, or why wasn't it just left off, wasting a couple of columns there? I'm seeing that in the earlier one, that would be the one, Minnesota-Wisconsin playground just apparently bid on the shelter only and nothing else. And then on the second round of bidding, they were dropped off, so that kind of needs some explanation. Did they not qualify for bidding on everything or so? And I am not sure why those two lines especially are highlighted in purple, so that's another thing I would like to know about. And then on the second version, Scott, second version? Oh, okay. A little hard to figure out. I mean, I think at the bottom there are those alternates at the bottom. I'm just throwing out my questions. Or if you're going by the purple highlighted numbers, this did say in the packet that Parisi was the suggested contractor to use. And then overall here, the way that I'm remembering this, I think that the last time that I remember that this was at this commission, it was noted afterwards that the wrong pages of concept of the park layout were included in the packet. So a question for this commission that you might want to ask, did you see the corrected version page? I don't recall seeing it myself. Could you go on to the next? Yeah, okay, that one. Did you see the all corrected one of everything, or is this it right here? And apparently, the bids have already been collected, so again, as I've said before, it'd be nice, I think, and maybe the commission might agree or ask about this, if the commission sees the final proposed documents that are going out for bid before they go out for bid, so that the commission can comment on it. And then this particular page right here, for example, something else here, the playground, or the shelter, I should say, and surrounding playground is highlighted by those white dash lines in the square, and then on the left it says enlargement. Where's the page with the enlargement? That's not included. Also, this shelter seems to have a different roof on it. I know this was the architect's or planner's concept, and it was said that was not exactly precisely going to be what the shelter would look like, although there was something or other in one of the earlier diagrams that showed a very plain, very simple, very boring, non-interesting shelter, just posts and a plain roof, and that was it. So it'd be nice if there would have been something better looking of this shelter, something a little more interesting rather than the same as, like the kids crossing shelter, just open air and a plain roof, and that's it. So some questions that I hope will be in your discussion. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, what we'll be doing is, this isn't a final approval, but it's our recommendation to the council to begin the process of a final approval. So we're looking this over, talking about what staff recommends and going from there. But in order for us to vote so that we are letting the council know what we decided, I will offer a motion to recommend to the council the staff recommended Parisi bid, which is the low bid of $441,465. It's the base bid, playground, surfacing, and column wraps. And is there a second for that?
Second.
Okay, thanks, Chris. So Scott, go ahead and tell us what you need to. I recall some of the things that Patrick asked. So between us, I think we can answer those questions and anything anybody else has. So you go ahead.
Sure. Maybe a little bit about the process. If you recall, we did bid this project as a whole project, including the playground and the shelter. And the bid tabulation for that project is the one that's listed for May 15th, 2024. But these prices came in over budget. So if you remember, what we did is we went to the council and we rejected the bids. Then what we did is we rebid the project with the August 29th was the bid deadline. And you can see by the bid sheet we had a base bid, which is basically the shelter it's basically the shelter and then this concrete work along with an area for bike racks and those kinds of things. That was the base bid. And then we did have alternate bids for a different line items. And what this really did is it allowed the Park Commission to take a look at each of the individual additions. And we could, in theory, pick one or all or zero, none of the alternates. So we had the playground equipment installation, playground surfacing. We also had an alternate at A4 of concrete curbing around the playground. Was an alternate. Column wraps for the shelter around the pillars for the shelter. Bike repair station, which is basically the physical bike repair station, if you would, bike racks and a bench. And what we did is we, as staff, took a look at it, and we would recommend the base bid which is the shelter, including the playground and its installation, the playground surfacing, and then also the column wraps around the shelter. And really what I'm doing today is making sure that you're on board with the staff's recommendation. And if you're good with this, what I'll do is I'll begin, drafting the resolution and the referral. And to one of Patrick's questions, certainly the engineering estimate is a good item to include in that as additional information. But then it'll come back to the Park Commission as a resolution for your final approval. A little bit about what I thought was interesting and why I highlighted was the original bid for the playground and the shelter. You could kind of see that they were in actually Parisi, who is now the low bidder, the open air shelter was $180. In comparison to here, it's $135. And then I compared the playground $155 and Parisi's original, or $160, excuse me, and then $140. So I just wanted to try to share a bit. And I'm thinking, I can't speculate, but the idea that bidding in the fall and having the project completed in the mid-year, the following year, seemed to be a more appealing project to the contractors. And a couple of Minnesota, Wisconsin, they must have just not, decided not to bid the second time around. That's why we didn't get a price from them. So at the end of the day, the 441, 465, we have approximately $615,000 allocated for the project. So what I'm thinking we're going to recommend is about a 7% contingency, which would be about $30,000 to add to it. Now remember, we still have the shelter, or not the shelter, the bathroom that we've got 150 potentially allocated for. I don't anticipate that we're going to use much of that contingency. It seems to be a pretty straightforward project. And I do remember with the estimate that EOR put together for the landscaping, which included the prairie and the trees, that was about $65,000. But in talking to Anna, she's confident that we could do it for much less than that. And actually the timing, if everything works out well, is going to go good, where this, in theory, we could get this done in the middle of June, the middle of 2025, and then we kind of know where the dust had settled and the dollars that we have remaining, so we could, in theory, do some kind of fall landscaping project to try to get that started by the end of next year. So, again, it's just kind of what we've received. We got the bids late last week, in the middle of the week, and I wanted to, instead of taking this to a resolution, then you seen it for the first time when it's referred to you, I wanted to get your thoughts on it prior to me putting those documents together. One other thing, Dave, that you may be of interest, what we're trying to do to get this on the fast track, if you would, to get it approved in that first, in theory, the first council meeting in October. What would happen is it would come before the Board of Public Works after the Park Commission. The Park Commission would meet on the first Thursday. The Board of Public Works would then be on the first Monday, and then, which it kind of is goofy that then the first council meeting is actually the Tuesday after the Board of Public Works. So it would be kind of backwards in that the Park Commission would approve it. Typically, it would be Board of Public Works and the Park Commission, but we'd have to wait a whole another month if we did it that way. This way, hopefully, we can get it approved that first council meeting in October.
Any
questions?
Any questions?
No, thanks for explaining the
Yeah,
timeline.
Scott, I was wondering did Parisi say what the reason was they were able to come down more than 100,000 from the initial bid?
Yeah, we didn't pose that question, Heidi, we can, only speculate, but I'm pretty, I would, to speculate, I would think the idea of the timing of the project, like I say, they're, get awarded this year, and then they do have all of next year, or not all of next year, but up to the middle of next year to get it completed. So in theory, the first time it was kind of a 2024 project, so they might have had their 2024 project schedule already filled. So, they're willing to do it if we're willing to pay for it, but we weren't willing to pay that price. So, hopefully we're getting onto their 2025 project schedule by getting it bid in late 2024 here. But that's a speculation. I didn't ask them at all.
It's clearly the best deal. That's more than a 20% decrease, which in this economy is unheard of. And so, I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, but I guess I would just be a little curious, how they were able to do that and making sure that they're not cutting costs in terms of quality or prioritizing our work or anything like that.
Well, and I think too, they're a local company, Heidi, and I think they just completed the tennis court project at McKee. So I think they, maybe they felt comfortable in giving us a city discount. I can't speculate, but maybe those are some of the factors that weighed into it, that they wanted to help out.
We got the good.
Yeah, in the interest of further business with the city. Okay, thank you. That was all I had.
We got the good neighbor discount. The rendering of the park that is shown here in this packet is the most current that we had, and we all acknowledged, even when this was before us, we made other tweaks to it that are in the minutes from meetings going back to last year, but the footprint of everything is very close. What was missing last time made a difference. Now this was already drawn. I think just the wrong image was inserted, and everything that is being covered by the bid is within just the playground and the shelter. It hasn't anything much to do with the rest of the footprint of the parks, right?
I will share that I did ask Rob to put together some renderings, which I'll include in the referral of what the wrap will look like with the actual shelter building. So we've got a good rendering of that, and along with the playground and what the playground is going to look. So those questions that Patrick raised are good ones, and I'm looking to get more, actual renderings and things to include in the packet when we get it referred.
Right. And what we saw where there was a very plain versus a little bit more decorative shelter, we voted on that when we had input from the students from the school, and the Parks Commission chose the one that had a little bit more style to it. So the plain one.
We're going to add more style with a wrap.
Good. We'll be styling.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Mostly related to site furnishing. So I noticed that the recommended package, it just doesn't include the bike repair station, bike racks, or benches. So I'm curious about those. Are those something that staff would plan to install at a later date?
Correct.
Yes. Okay.
Yep. We can get it for less expensive than those prices.
Okay, great. I was just wanted to make sure that they would show up on their own at some point. Just tangent to that, would they still be installing the pads for it, and then staff would come in and just do the surface install? Okay.
They're going to be doing all the flat work, Chris, which includes the bid includes all the flat work, including this, and then if I can maybe blow this up a little bit. But right here is where that repair, where those bike facilities are located, right there.
Okay, and then would there be other furniture like picnic tables, things like that, coming out of separate parks budgets?
Right. Well, and again, I think we'll see how much is left in the budget, but certainly we'll get picnic tables and those kinds of things over there.
Thank you.
Yep. Good question.
Any other questions or comments? All right. So those in favor of the motion to recommend.
I'm sorry, Sue.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was muted. I apologize. So I'm looking at the bid, and so base aggregate. Okay, so is that per foot? The 32. That's $32 per foot.
Where are you?
That's item number 5 in the
item number 5
on the list.
Yeah, number 5 and number 6. Okay, so I just want to make sure I'm reading this right. So that's per
unit.
Whatever the unit of measurement is,
Per
and
unit,
then
yep.
the extension is the total amount.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to have interrupted.
That's all right. Got to get the questions in before we vote. Okay. Those in favor of the motion to recommend to council the Parisi bid, as stated, say aye.
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 Okay, that motion carries. So on to 7, communication.
And this is our fall tree planting plan, and we didn't need to do a resolution and referral because it fell under the amount. But I did want to share with you that this is going to be our fall planting plan. A lot of trees in the parks. So I wanted to report that. And that's really the only communication I do have.
And go on ahead to the staff reports and updates.
For staff, I just wanted to call attention to the Recreation Department's report. If you see the 3 items on the bottom, what staff does is we provide administration a monthly report, which the city administrator, he consolidates and gets out to the Common Council. And this is a couple items that I include in that report, but I thought it'd be pretty important to the Park Commission. So this is just the rec program fee revenues for August, the community center rental revenues, and the shelter athletic facility rental revenues for the month of August. Just to give you a bit of a scope, I will tell you too that I am working on a direct referral. Dave, this might be of interest to you, that the mayor approved that the rec department, they sell WPRA tickets, Wisconsin Park Summer Attraction tickets, but they sold $31,000 worth of them. So what? And actually, the city or the rec department gets 75 cents per ticket sold. So we made about $995, but we have to pay WPRA the difference, and that's over $25,000. So that's got to be approved and all of those kinds of things. But they sold about 1,300 tickets, and those are all not online. Customers got to come in, and it's kind of transactions, or they got to write a check or cash. So it's really a nice service that we provide to the residents here. But just another scale of work that the rec department does for the community. I will maybe give a report on drinking fountains. There seems to be drinking fountain interest within the city. We've actually have 3 of them that need to be installed yet this fall. The trouble we're having is the contractor, who's all ready to go and hasn't been able to get to them to get them installed. We've got them at Hugo Jamestown, Belmar Hills, and Chicory Meadow Park. So we've got them. It's just a matter of getting the contractor in here to get them installed. So I wanted to report that.
I have a question about other drinking fountain. When the one I'm familiar with is nearby at Wildwood Park, and for a couple of years now, it's a push button, and when you push it, the water comes out about 1.5 feet in the air and overshoots by about 2 feet out.
Right.
And if you try to put your face in there to drink, you just really can't.
So that's
So
that
is
wild?
there whatever, when they set it up next spring, if there's a part or adjustment or something?
Yeah, they
It's
can
fun
be,
to watch kids get a face full, but it's probably not very nice.
It wastes water though, right?
That's
and
true.
They are finicky, but anytime you see that, let me know because I
Yeah.
think Jordan can go out and
I kept forgetting to mention
make some
it.
adjustments.
I kept forgetting, and so it's not a criticism
No,
at all.
but-
I just, we're on the
But
topic
out
came
to
up.
out to the public, we rely on that. We don't go to every, so we rely on that feedback. So anyone sees anything, be sure to let us know, and we'll get on it as quickly as we can. That's for sure.
Okay. So we can move on.
Scott,
Go ahead, Heidi, go
Do
ahead.
the water fountains have to be installed by contractors, or is that something staff could do?
No, it's a contract. Well, it's not so much the drinking fountain itself, but it's the concrete and all of that goes. Certainly, I'm thinking that it may and it could be something that the staff could do, but capacity. We have enough work just to keep things mowed and those kinds of things. So it's kind of that's the way that we're able to get these things taken care of contractually.
Chris Peguera, I see you have a question?
Yeah, thank you. It was more of a comment before we move on past the recreation report. And I mentioned this before the meeting started, but I did want to commend park staff. My son did take tennis lessons this summer through recreation and had a phenomenal time with that. So a great job, park staff. And I wanted the commission to also hear that. Phenomenal work. So thank you.
Thanks for sharing, Christopher.
Sue?
Go ahead.
Scott, I wanted to thank you for the follow-up, getting a portable restroom in the Western Hills Park this year. Thank you. And for those of you who don't know, we have that very nice basketball court that's been vandalized, but we've got it fixed. So a lot of people will come there to play. There's no restroom, so they have to leave, or they're back in the bushes. So having a portable restroom there is certainly welcome.
I will report that the police department did catch the people that messed it up, so that's a good thing.
That's an excellent thing.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Well, and what was,
It was on the TV and all that kind of stuff, and they had a picture, and they caught him and they confessed and all this good stuff.
So we got to put them in stocks and throw rotten vegetables at them? That would be no.
Just embarrass them in the public square. Well, they'll have a bill to pay though.
yeah, because it's been, now I don't know, it was damaged twice.
Twice. We repaired it the first time, and you know what? They came back the second time, and
Yeah.
so they were arrested and fined and those kinds of things, and we're looking to get it repaired again, hopefully by the end of the month, that they'll come back and repair it.
Good to know.
But thanks, Dave.
Yeah. Okay, on to, there's some future agenda items listed. Scott, you want to?
Yep, we're kind of nearing the end for the Tower Hill Shelter renovation in McKee Farms Park. So again, we'll get those bids soon here, and then the Park and Open Space Plan is winding down the final path. Hopefully, we'll see that next month and get it approved in November. Pickleball expansion, that's getting ready to get bid also this fall, and we're really actually kind of thinking that this idea of trying to do a CIP project from January 1 to the end is really a push. So the idea of getting these projects bid and designed, and especially because the engineering department provides a lot of the review of and they're just really tapped out too. So it takes some time. So the idea of kind of preparing for it in 1 year and bidding it towards the end of that year and then get it constructed the following year is kind of the model that we're finding to be successful. Well, and Stoner Prairie is kind of an indicator of that, and hopefully Tower Hill, McKee, and the pickleball courts is going to be another example of being able to get the projects done, cost effectively and as efficiently as we can.
Okay, and I meant to call our citizen for comment, Patrick Cheney, for 9A, B, and C. Go ahead.
Yeah, Scott, could you go to the next page about these future agenda items? Could you go to the next page that has the future agenda items on there?
Yeah, that's way on the.
That's just on the
that's
agenda
Here,
itself.
I can get there. I can get there.
No, I read some paragraph. Oh, I know. It was in the staff comments at the beginning.
Comments.
Okay, yeah, that's where I read it.
Staff comments. Here we go.
Yes, that. Okay. So now, compared to the Stoner Prairie, where, as Scott says, some proper renderings are going to be produced for the council to see, these right here, as I read through them, Tower Hill, especially in McGaw Park pickleball, it looks like these are in the works right here, being prepared yet for the specs to go out for bids. So, as I commented before, my preference, and maybe the commission's, would be that as the final information and specs and everything are created, I would think the commission might want to see that in case the commission has any comments on it at the last chance before it goes out for bids. This seems to be, I don't know, the staff or something, or consultant, whoever it might be, creates these specs and then it goes straight out for bid and all, and the commission only sees the dollar numbers on the bid coming in, and then you say yes or no, you like it, you don't like it, or whatever. But I mean, my opinion is the commission ought to see this before it goes out to bid to see what the final renderings are. I don't remember exactly. The Tower Hill shelter might have had some points missing. I don't remember if it had electrical on there. Maybe not. I know McGaw Park pickleball, the lighting, the whole electrical was not ready yet when this was reviewed at the commission. So, I mean, I would have wanted to see that I had a bunch of questions on how that was going to work. And it's not done yet, it's not out for bid yet, so that's a chance to see what is the proposal before it goes to bid. Thanks.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions for our Parks Director? Okay, the next two Park Commission meetings, October 3rd, November 7th, and I will move to adjourn. It's 6:42. Is there a second?
Second.
And those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.